Hi guys, welcome back to another review. So today I'm having a look at the XIDU, if I'm pronouncing that right, XIDU Tour Pro. This is a 12.5-inch laptop that does look quite interesting because it's got a fully laminated touchscreen in here that isn't your typical 1200p or 1080p, but no, it's 1440p. And that means, of course, high resolution. A big surprise too, that it actually turned out to be a high quality display that they're using in this particular laptop, as you'll see in this review. So it also has 128 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and a dual-core Kaby Lake R processor. Even though it sounds like a third-gen CPU, it's the 3867U. It actually came out this year, the beginning of 2019. So I thought originally that, oh, hang on, that's an old third-gen chip, but that's Intel's naming scheme for you. So it's got a 38 watt-hour battery in here and a full spec Type-C port. That means, of course, data, video, and charging, which supports also power delivery charging, which is great to see. So let's check and see what we get in the box. So it's a rather large box, considering this is not a large laptop. So the laptop's in a protective sleeve, which is good. We've got a screen protector and a keyboard protector here as well. Well, this is actually another layout that they give us. For those that need it, it's good to have that. Okay, we've got a quick start guide by the looks of it, product certification cert, and what is this right here? This is a gift card, and here is our power supply. So your typical Mickey Mouse style plug connector, EU of course, because I live in Europe, and DC plug. This is rated to 19 volts, 2.1 amps. So this laptop is a light 1.24 kilos and just 14.8 millimeters thick. So it is very portable. So for ports on the right hand side, we do have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Now there's good sound output out of this. There's no static or interference, which is great. We have a micro SD card reader. Now it's just wired up via a USB 2 hub, so the speeds are going to max out of your cards at about 24 to 23 megabytes per second. Unfortunately not an ultra high speed one, which would have been great there. Full size USB 3 port. Now this does power external hard drives, and our power button also doubles as a fingerprint reader for Windows Hello. So just placing your finger there, it will unlock, and you get into Windows a little bit quicker than typing out, for example, a password. So you can see that the left and right bezels, they are slim, but the bottom bezel, like most of these laptops, is quite large. So on the left here, we've got DC in for charging, and then a full spec USB Type-C 3.1. Now this supports data, power delivery, and display out. 4K 30 Hz is all I'm able to get with my adapters, although in theory it should actually support 4K 60. There's a status LED, and there's one just next to it which also comes on when charging. So we've got a really good keyboard on this. It is backlit. It's automatically on when you use the keyboard, so when you power it on, you don't actually need to select it. It doesn't have any different stages though. It's just a single on, or you can disable it like so. So I'll quickly turn off my light here, and I'll show you what it looks like. You can see evenly lit. This is good. I see a lot of the Chinese laptops, for example, the B-Max Y13, its backlit keyboard is not evenly lit, which does irritate me. So this one isn't bad. Now you don't get too much glare. When you have a look at it at an angle here, you can see that the keys actually tap out and block most of the light, apart from a little bit of leakage here on the space bar. Now the key travel itself is very good typing on this, and if I press down hard, there is no bounce or flex to this keyboard. It's very similar to, say, the Chewy AeroBook or the B-Max Y11's keyboard. Touchpad as well. This has a smooth painted surface to it and is quite accurate, supporting Windows Precision drivers. The palm rest, this is made out of plastic, but the rest of the build is all alloy. So in our top bezel, we've got our webcam here, which is 720p. The quality is actually okay, and either side of it, we do have dual microphones. There's a status LED, as you can see, to the left of it, which lets us know it is on. Unfortunately, this webcam doesn't support Windows Hello. And here's a sample of the webcam. The mics you can hear right now, they do sound all right to me. I mean, this is going to be fine for Skype calls. What I have noticed with the webcam, though, is even though I do have some bright lighting on, it looks a little bit dark, and it's not amazing quality here. It's pretty average, run-of-the-mill Chinese laptop webcams here, and even on some more expensive models I've seen about this kind of quality. So on the underside you get these two large rubber feet, so they are raised up a little bit to allow airflow, of course, into our intake vent, which is all along here. So there's a fan right here that blows the hot air just out here, but you won't even hear that fan. It barely comes on. It's only when you push it really, really hard or you start to game where you hear the fan, and it's not really that loud at all. It's not too offensive. So there's an SSD hatch in here, which I will show you shortly, that we can install an extra SSD. So inside here, it already comes with 128 gigabytes, but you're able to put up to 2 terabytes in there, and it's very easy to do so. You just need to remove the 2 screws there. And right here, we've got 2 downwards firing speakers. So I installed here one of my crucial drives here. This is 275 gigabytes working without any problems. It's running at full SATA 3 speeds. Now the hinge on this does feel stiff and quite good. And the lid here, you can see we've got the logo on the rear, and it is made out of an alloy. So overall, the build quality of this laptop is excellent. The Tour Pro has a very good screen in here. We're seeing more and more of these Chinese manufacturers finally using decent IPS panels. So this one is fully laminated. The maximum brightness is 280 nits, which is great because it's fully laminated. It is of course going to be quite reflective. So you'll see throughout this review probably my camera or my face reflecting off it. And that is normal with a glass covered screen. Now it doesn't seem to use Gorilla Glass or anything like that. It's soda lime glass, but as mentioned, fully laminated and supporting touch. Now the calibration out of the box is very good. Really not much of a change there when I put it onto the calibrated mode here from my Spider 5 Pro from Datacolor. Now if we have a look at the color space, this is where it's good. Okay, 78% Adobe RGB. We don't normally see this on such brands. NTSC is 74% NTSC, and then our sRGB is 99%. So it is a very good panel. The touch accuracy does seem to be good, and it will support 10 touch points. So let's take a look at the system here, the performance. So we've got 8 gigabytes of RAM that is unfortunately in single channel. Now the speed of it is 1866 megahertz, and the CPU is just 2 cores at 1.8 gigahertz. It is not multi-threaded, so we don't have 4 threads with this. And the performance you will see when you multitask, which I'm currently doing at the moment, it will slow down. This is not a super powerful system at all. This is really just for light computing, docs, video files, internet browsing, and that is basically it. You won't be playing any real demanding games on this or editing videos at all, not with just these 2 cores and that lower clock speed we have there. So it's got Windows 10 Home. This is version 1903, so of course run Windows Update to get all the latest updates, which will pull through there, and the CD key that's used is valid and legit there, which is of course great to have there. Now the performance, this is Passmark, their latest version 9. Passmark rating is about, there you can see, well, almost 1700, which is not great. You can see that is not a powerful system. The OpenCL score here, this actually pulls through to be better, the graphics at least here with the Intel HD 600, that it's more powerful than what we get with the Gemini Lake. So a little bit better there at, you could say, GPU performance with the integrated GPU. And then our Geekbench 4 score here. So single core score, that does pull through quite a bit higher in terms of performance versus the Gemini Lake as well. Multi-core score, however, is about 700 points or so less than the Sauron N 4100, and that's because again it only has the 2 cores there, so that's really expected there. We've just got that Sauron, the 3867U. So even though it looks and sounds like it's a 3rd gen chip, this actually came out at the beginning of the year, and it's a Kaby Lake R. So I've got a few other things to show you here with the disk that's inside here, the SSD that it runs off. So this is what you can expect for performance. You get 91 gigabytes free. It's actually not bad. I mean, SATA 3 speeds would normally be around this. Now you can install an additional drive in here, which is great, as I showed you with that hatch. Very easy to do. I've actually got my 280 gigabyte drive in there at the moment. I can't set it to boot for some reason, so not too sure what is up with that. So just a few other things to point out here as well, that the thermals are really good because we've got that little fan in there. Now the fan will kick in at about, I think it's 48 to 49 degrees Celsius. You will hear it. You can probably just hear it now. It's not very loud, and it will turn off and sometimes be off for 30 minutes before it comes on again. So it's not actually that bad with fan noise, but really good thermals, just maxing out at 53 degrees. It really does run super cool there which is great to see. So battery life is not really amazing. It's a 15-watt CPU, so that's higher than you get with, say, the Sauron N4100 laptops that I review. It's not quite as efficient. So you're looking at a battery runtime like a Core M3. I mean, performance is very similar to a Core M3. It is going to just go for about 4.5 to 5.5 hours, depending on what you're doing. Now the charge time will be just over 3 hours, which is more or less like other laptops that have a 38-watt-hour battery in here. So it's not a huge battery either there. So I've got some real-world performance tests here that I wanted to show you. So I'm opening a absolute massive Excel spreadsheet here. Well, this one's very, very big with 700 records. And it's okay, all right? The performance, they're not too bad, but you will see that sometimes it does feel a little bit laggy with me scrolling. And the big one here is the 5 megabyte doc file here. So you're able to use touch too if you wanted to select things. All in all, for these kind of tasks, it does actually work okay. All right, it's not going to be as fast as a Core i3 or a Core i5 laptop, but you can see scrolling here now. Once it's loaded in, it was a little slow. It really is fine. So I'm going to do a very quick speed test here with some tabs open in Chrome. So I've not searched here before, and I'm just going to search cats. Okay, open up a lot of tabs, and we'll see how it responds. Now the wireless, you've got the Intel 3165. It's just super common chipset now. So wireless AC with Bluetooth 5. And we'll see how it goes. Now I can already see that scrolling now is a little slow because I've got the spreadsheet open there in the background, and we're starting to see the limitations now of just those 2 cores, and clocked at only 1.8 gigahertz means they are definitely not the fastest there, especially with the Kaby Lake architecture. That's a very low clock. So I'm just going to keep opening up a few. Now with these dual cores, I really wouldn't exceed about 6 or 7 tabs, because it does then start to show that it's really slowing down a little bit. So I swap between these now. I can see that, all right, things are loading in relatively slow there. You can see, okay, here we go, it's coming up. And once that's loaded, how is our scrolling performance? So you can definitely see the limitation of just having 2 cores on a Windows 10 machine now. Yeah, you really want to have 2 cores and 4 threads like the Core M3s. And the video's loading in here. A little on the slow side now, swapping between these tabs. But of course, if I close all these spreadsheets, things will then definitely speed up a little bit. And it's starting to definitely bottleneck there. Feeling a little bit slow. Okay. All right, but that's what you can expect. Now, once all that's loaded, swapping between these tabs, that is now quick. So that's good. So I'll close this down. One last test is a super demanding video file here. This is a 4K high bit rate file of a blacksmith here. I think he's making a katana. Let's have a look. Okay, so a little slow to start with. It's 60 frames per second, by the way. So it is very smooth. And that is actually playing all right. So we've got hardware native decoding here with MKV files, VP9, it does handle video quite well, the integrated GPU that's on here. So the BIOS in the Tour Pro is pretty much locked down to us. We do not have advanced settings. You cannot just go along and change the power limit in here, unfortunately, but it's not a CPU that would really allow us to tweak it and do much with it. I'm not too sure if we can even undervolt it, because Intel's XIDU, at least the latest version, doesn't support this chipset. That's what it told me. The only thing you can really change is your boot order, or go along and boot from a pen drive, which I'm going to do. I'm going to test out my Linux pen drive that I've got here and see how it runs Linux Mint. So a pleasant surprise here too with Linux, that touch is working. Now this normally would not work here with Linux Mint. Wireless is working, Bluetooth, the touchpad, the volume up and down controls and screen brightness controls, they are all working just fine, which is great. So 100% Linux support here with Linux Mint. As I pointed out when we had a look at the underside, we've got those 2 downward firing speakers, so they're going to reflect off the table, refract the sound back out towards you. Their loudness is actually okay. They've got a tiny hint of bass. They're not super high quality speakers at all, but they're a bit better than some of the other Chinese more budget laptops I've been reviewing, but here's a sample of them now. So onto gaming performance, you can see that we're getting a frame rate of around 30 frames per second. This is 720p on the lowest settings. Now, if you lower it down to say something like 800 times 600, it'll be a little faster, but this isn't ideal. This is not a laptop for gaming. Really, it isn't with this kind of frame rate. So I'm about to just die now. Oh, got lucky. All right, so there's a lot of things that I do like about this laptop. So some surprises there with the screen. So the touch response is good. Now I removed the screen protector that they had pre-applied. It just works so much better without it, and no annoying specks of dust under that protector. That's probably why they gave us an extra one there. So this is selling on Amazon for about, I think it's 450 or 499 euros, which yes, is a lot more expensive by about 100 euros than some of the other brands that I am reviewing. But take a look at what you get. You get the touch panel, and you get a very, very good screen at that, that it's 1440p that we don't normally see. So if you're after a sharper screen and quite a well-built system, and if you're doing a lot of just light computing, documents especially, because it's got a really good keyboard on this as well, and it's backlit, good touchpad, and overall good build, the full spec Type-C port. The webcam's okay, it comes out a little bit dark as you saw from my sample. So really there's a lot to like about this machine. It's true, and really only kind of weakness that I can see is the CPU, just the dual cores. I think if they put a Core M3, for example, 8100Y would have been a lot better with the 4 threads and a much higher turbo. So this one doesn't even have a boost turbo there. It just is the 1.8 gigahertz flat on the 2 cores, and that's it, or 800 megahertz when it's in the low power mode. So if we had the 3.4 gigahertz of the more modern 8th gen Core M3, I think that would have been a better match for this particular laptop, and considering the price of it. So the build overall good, the hinge is stiff, and I like the fact that of course it goes all the way back. So really a nice laptop. Overall, it's just that and the battery life. The battery life is going to be anywhere from about 4.5 hours to 6 hours tops watching videos. So that is basically Core M3 battery life. Now I expected this with a 38 watt hour battery and then the 15 watt CPU. Yeah, out in gaming performance. So this is really just for light computing. As you saw, even with Chrome using a lot of tabs there, that it started to get a little bit slow, but that was kind of to be expected really with just the 2 cores. So I hope to be reviewing more from this brand, their future up and coming laptops, if they let me, that is, because I think it's one to look out for. It's got the good build, it's got a lot of things going for it that are really, really good, just as I mentioned there, those particular points. So thank you so much for watching this review. I hope to catch you back in the channel with more up and coming reviews. Bye for now.